All right, this is a rest in peace to another one of our comrades, a good comrade out of New Orleans, man. This is about Tyreek Merchant Smith, aka Malik. Caught his case in D.C., from New Orleans. I'm gonna show you how official, men of honor is. I'm gonna show what it's like to be on man time in the prison. So don't compare this with the Fugazi, misinterpretation of trying to cross-reference the streets with prison. All right? All right, relax. This is a rest in peace, man. This is a rest in peace, man. I got to give a rest in peace to another comrade, that we lost. So you understand how vicious this is on the inside. I don't want you youngins to take this for no joke. I'm gonna make a video sometime by now on Friday directed to Honeycomb Brazy, because I respect his gangster, because he putting it down for the street. You understand? And I'm not encouraging nobody to do what he did, what he's doing, or what he stand for, or none of that, because I'm going to talk to him and I'm going to let him know the consequences to the actions and the possible outcomes to what's going on. All right? But now, this is about Malik. Malik caught his case in D.C. He was locked up in Lawton. You know what I mean? He was in Lawton, and he was with all the biggest men, from D.C. Now, I'm doing this because I don't want y'all, because they say, oh, you're always bigging up DC, you're always bigging up DC. Well, this is about New Orleans, to show you how men of honor. See that man on the screen, remember that face and say a prayer for him, make dua for him. He was a Muslim brother, he was one of our brothers. Now, Malik caught his case in DC. He did over 30 years in prison. And it was a situation when he was in the shoe, when they got over into the feds, and the feds keep everybody separated. They do all this stuff, and you can't get to who you want to, get to. Now, it was one of the brothers that, was there that, violated, and the big homie, one of the big homies from D.C. couldn't get to him. I'm not going to say his name because I didn't get in touch with him to let him know that I was going to do this, but I know he don't mind me sharing the facts of the situation, so I'm not going to say his name. One of the homies from D.C. had a situation where it was a dude that, I think told on him or something of that nature, and he couldn't get to him. None of the other D.C. dudes couldn't get to him. So this brother, Malik, a.k.a. Bouncer, New Orleans know him as Bouncer. Let's give Bouncer a round of applause. Let's give Bouncer a round of applause. And Lou Sims. We're going to give both of them a round of applause. I'm going to show you how Lou Sims play into this to show you how men of honor move. Now, when I got in my situation out in Lum Park, and they was transferring the person that I got in the situation with, and I couldn't get to him, I made a move and, manipulated my way to the officer's phone to be able to make a phone call and, tell them it was a legal call somebody who I ran down to them off a recorded line to let them know, what happened with my situation. They got word to Lou. Lou was on standby with my man Fingers, and Jaquan and them while they was in Colorado waiting on him to touch down, and they was going to handle the business, being that I'll never be able to see this person again. Now, so what happened with this is now, that was that situation. So, of course, Lou did what he had to do because Lou was a man, right? Now, the same thing happened with Malik, Bouncer. I'm just going to call him Bouncer because it's for New Orleans. It's a big shout out to New Orleans. A big shout out to Richard Pina. That's my man, too, from New Orleans, from out that way. Now, to tell you the truth, it's crazy the way we have our phone system in the prison where we just send what we call a kite, and we send it to our family member. Our family member get it, put it in another envelope, and then send it to where it got to go, because we're not allowed to write each other in the prison. So the homie couldn't get to the dude that ratted on him. His homies couldn't get to the dude that ratted on him. So, Big Bouncer stepped up because he was in the same, solitary confinement unit with the dude. He finagled his way and tricked the dude out into the rec cage. When the dude got in the rec cage, Bouncer, put the knife in him because the dude was Heat Cipher Truth. You know what I mean? Was no good, because we don't deal with Heat Cipher Truth in there, right? So Bouncer put the knife in him and punished him. And then he went home for a split second, and they picked him up and brought him back in from off the street to charge him for that charge. And he wound up, getting a fresh sentence for looking out for the homie. And Bouncer was never angry because he knew he did what had to be done on man time, because he couldn't get to the He Cipher Truth dude. So he got to him for him, right? So that's how that played out. So after that, DC and New Orleans had a bond, where they had an alliance. That's what we called it in the prison. They had an alliance where they moved together. And, Bouncer was intricate in that. And I know y'all say New Orleans and DC, no, because what it is, it's not New Orleans and DC, it's men on man time, So he stepped up and got the He Cipher Truth dude for the, Divine Culture dude. Divine Culture means DC, to give you all the new word, because I like to teach you all things. Now, when he punishes them, after that, everything, came together, because we don't want none of those He Cipher Truth on the compound with us, and they definitely need to get gunshots. You know what I mean? So that's what happened with that. But now, I'm going to ride, because this episode is about the stupidest arguments in the prison, and the number one killer in the prison, or there's two killers in the prison, and that's the telephone and the television. You know what I mean? Remember that. Now, you got dudes that try and claim the TV. They'll sit in front of the TV all day. They sit in front of the TV all day and they act like it's their TV. They take it to the point that it gets so serious that a dude would come out as soon as they pop the doors at 6, and he'll put his chair in front of the TV and he'll put it on whatever he want to put it on. You got some dudes that'll even put the penitentiary TV amongst men and killers on cartoons, because that's where their mind frame is at. And they think that's their TV. Early morning, everybody waiting to go eat, making a little phone call, getting themselves ready for the day, so they not even thinking about it. But he gets up and puts it on the cartoons. Now they call Chow, everybody go to Chow. He decided to hang out a little later because they had, like, say, pancakes and eggs, and he wanted to get some extras. By the time he come back in, somebody came in and they changed it to, ESPN or CNN, and they watching the news or they watching the sports update, getting their tickets right for the night before. And while they sitting there watching the TV, this dude would just come in, walk right up to the TV and change the channel back to cartoons, when you got a killer sitting there watching it. And dude is looking at him like, yo, dude, you don't see me watching this? And dude said, nah, I was watching that. You saw I had it on something. He's like, yo, but there was nobody in here. So what you mean you was watching something? You wasn't even in here. And you just came in. They just had Chow. So how you think you go to Chow, come back, and you still get the TV, and the TV is supposed to be for everyone? And dude like, man, I don't care. You know what I mean? It's my TV. And dude look at him and he's thinking, man, I ought to just murder this dude. But before he make that move, he said, you know what? I'm going to just leave that alone, because this dude's a crash dummy. Yeah, crash dummy, new word. This dude's a crash dummy, you know what I mean? He trying to get a self-assisted, suicide. And I'm not even going to do it. So dude might walk away from him. Now, another time, dude would get up and he'll go to the rec. He'll go work out, play basketball. He go for a whole hour. When he come back in, as soon as he come in, he go and he change the channel. You know what I mean? And put it on what he want. And then he just walk away, go in his cell, get his stuff together, take a shower, and then he get up there and he go take a shower. He in the shower and the dude changed the TV and the dude in the shower peeking out the shower. You know what I mean? To make sure nobody touched this TV that he's claiming. You know what I mean? This how dudes is territorial. You know? He's sitting there and he's claiming the TV. Somebody go change the channel because there's no one in front of the TV. The TV area is completely empty. Dude change the channel. Dude yell from the shower that's behind the TV that can't even see the TV, can't hear the TV because he don't have his headphones in the shower, and he'll yell out when he sees somebody change the channel, yo, I was watching that, you know? And dude looking around like, who the hell said that? There's nobody around here. And dude said, yo, put that back. I'm telling you, I'm changing that when I get out the shower. You know, so dude like, yo, dude, I'm watching this. So dude said, yeah, all right, he hurry up, get out the shower, he get dressed, and he come down there and he ready to fight, go to war over this TV. That's the government TV. Could you believe that? This is the government TV, and he's sitting there going through all this bull crap. That don't make no sense to me. But that's just the way they move. And when they move like that, you got to think for them. You have to learn to think for a crash dummy. If you don't think for a crash dummy, you'll never get out of prison. I had to think for crash dummies so many times in prison. That's why I'm blessed to be here today. So now dude comes out and he wants to fight the dude over the TV that changed it when he was in the shower. He don't even yell out, yo, I was watching that. When I come out, I like to finish watching my program. He just say, yo, that's my TV. Leave my TV alone. Now, who does that? Could you imagine sitting in front of a TV, watching TV, somebody yell from, you know, the shower behind the TV, he's watching that. How do you know I even changed it unless you watching the TV? But that's how these people is looking for certain situations, you know? And I don't know why it's not on mute, but, you know, I'm sitting there and, you know, they can't hear the TV. They can't hear it. They can't see it. But they yelling, they watching it, you know? Because I remember, you know, let me give you one. Because, you know, I like to ride. Let me give you one about Raybrook. I'm in Raybrook, right? We're going to get back to this, too. Well, I'm in Raybrook, and it was this dude. He was real big. He was from Ohio. You know, he was diesel. He's sitting in front of the TV every day. From the doors pop, he's in front of the TV. You got one of these dudes in every jail, damn near in every unit. So he's sitting in front of the TV, and dudes is like, yo, you know what I mean? What's up with this dude? He's watching cartoons on the penitentiary TV, you know? And they be like, yo, leave him alone, man. Dude's a crash dummy. He gonna make you hurt him, you know? And it got to the point where one of the homies, peoples, got arrested, and it made the national news. So when it made the national news, you know, dude run down to the TV, he look around, there's nobody at the TV. He go to the TV and he change it to the national news and he watching the joint. And the dude come busting out the cell, you know? And he's like, yo, I was watching that. And the dude's cell is behind the TV. You couldn't have been watching it. You know what I mean? Like, well, I'm in the cell, I'm listening to it on the headphones. And dude is like, yo, let me just watch this little joint right here because my man just got murdered on the street. You know what I mean? And another one just got, you know, bagged, and I want to see what's going on. And he's like, man, I don't care nothing about what you're saying. That's my TV. And the dude walk up there and change the channel. So dude look at him and he said, yeah, you know. So he said, all right, well, if you watch the TV, you sit here and watch it. You know what I mean? Dude said, nah, I ain't got to do nothing. I'm telling you it's my TV. Dude said, yeah, all right. He leave, he goes in his room. Dude go in there, finish getting fresh. You know, he come back, he sit in the front TV, and he's sitting there with his head up. He looking at the TV. He don't care nothing about nobody. He's like, and nobody better not say nothing to me. And that's the look he give him. He got his shirt off with his little wife beat on, chest sitting out, you know, on dubs, you know what I mean, arms on dubs, and he's sitting there, and dude come out and say, yo, you know what I mean? You know, yo, you gonna let him get away with that? Dude say, yo, I don't need no battery in my back. Get out my cell. You know what I mean? Because dude's ready to roll with him, you know? So dude comes out, and before he get a chance to come out, here goes, so show you how crazy this is in prison. So before you get a chance to, you know, come out the cell, the dude goes back in his cell. When he goes back in his cell, a Spanish dude come and change the channel. So when the Spanish dude come and change the channel, there was a Sereno, and the Sereno changes the channel on the dude from Ohio. The dude from Ohio, he runs out there and says he watching it. So the Spanish dude, he don't know how this dude is a crash dummy. And on the East Coast, it's not like the West Coast where they got assigned TVs. On the West Coast, they got assigned TVs. Like, I remember I was in Atwater. Let's ride. You know what I mean? So now we in Atwater. You know what I mean? So I remember we in Atwater, and the Native Americans got into something in the yard, and they locked up all the Native Americans that was out there. And it's so hard came that all of them that was in, my unit got locked up. So now there's nobody to claim the Native American TV, because out there they got a Native American TV, a Paisa TV, a Sureno TV, a Blood TV, a Crip TV. You know what I mean? Everybody got their own TVs. But now that the Native Americans got in it, there's no Native Americans in there to get it, so the police don't want it to be a problem when they got to put a Native American in there. So they go to other units where they had Native Americans that didn't get locked up, and they moved them over in the cells that the Native Americans was in that went to the SHU, because everything is, geographically situated. So those Native American cells, only Native Americans go in them, like the New York cell, only New York people go in the New York cell. So they put some Native Americans in there from a whole nother unit to hold it down and say, when your people come out the hole, we'll move you back to your unit, but we need y'all to hold the TV down. This the administration pushing this agenda. But if they wouldn't have did that, to be honest, it would have just got worse, because, the blacks would have tried to control the TV, or the Sureno'S, or the DC, or, somebody else would have tried to control it, and it would have caused another problem when they had to put Native Americans in there, because there wouldn't be no TV. So this is how it is in the prison. So now, dude goes and they bring them in the unit. So being I'm cool with the Native Americans, I'm right across from the TV. So I tell them, look, I got a remote control. When we lock in at night, I'm going to change the channel to whatever you want. One of your people's right under me. So he just yell upstairs when he done, and I change the channel. Or if he want the channel changed to something, I change it to what he want until y'all done watching it, because he's the only one that stays up watching late night. So Native Americans was cool with me, because I'm cool with everybody. So they said, all right, go ahead. We're going to let you go ahead and rock out, So that's how they did that with that, Now let's ride back to Raybrook. So now we're in Raybrook. So while we're in Raybrook, I'm taking a bunch of prisons right now because we riding. Now, while we in Raybrook, you got the big dude sitting in front of the TV, and he just disrespected dude. So dude goes, and while he's sitting there watching the TV, trying to make sure nobody don't touch it to show his appearance and his presence, dude takes a lock and a sock, and he goes out and he start whooping him with the lock and the sock. This big dude gets up and he starts fighting, and they rumbling. Dude beating him with the lock, and they fighting. They throwing chairs. They all over the place. That was black on black. So next thing you know, I see them walking the big dude across the compound after the deuces hitting dudes get locked up. So he gets locked up, for the TV. Then he comes out 30 days later, and he come back 30 days later, and can you believe after getting hit in the head over there, with a lock and a sock, that he come back and he goes right back to the TV and claims the TV. This is where the mentality is at, So, some people never learn. But now let's ride back, back to Lee County. I remember I'm in Lee County. Lee County, a DC dude, because the East Coast don't have assigned TVs like the West Coast. That's why I told you about when I first went out there, I went and changed the channel, and there was nobody even in the unit. One, Sureno was in the day room working out, next to the TV. That's separated. He's in there working out. He's sweating, doing burpees and everything. And I wake up and I look out, there's nobody there, and I know every day we watch Jerry Springer at 10 o'clock. Yes, Jerry Springer. So, I go and I go downstairs and I change the channel. As soon as I change the channel, dude comes out, from working out, sweat everywhere, and he telling me, yo, that's a Sureno TV. You're not allowed to touch it. And I'm like, nah, that's a government TV. Like, nah, it's a Sureno TV. I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about, man. There wasn't nobody down here, so I changed the channel. We watch this every day. He said, no, the Sureno'S watch this every day, and then we allow y'all to watch it. So I'm like, oh, allow us to watch it. So before it got ugly, my man that I was in Lewisburg that caught a body in Lewisburg, and then we wound up in ADX, from out there, Sureno, he hears the argument with me and dude, so he jumps up out his bed, he come down, and he pulls me aside, and he explained to me how we go in California, that they got their own TVs, and he telling me that, the black TVs over there, if I want to watch something over here, for me to just let him know, because he's always in a unit, or another one of Sureno'S know to change the TV, because no other race is allowed to touch the TV other than that race. I'm like, whoa. You know, and he like, you, that's just the way it is, man. He said, whatever you want, you want my Jerry Springer, I'm gonna put it on Jerry Springer for you. So I ain't no crash dummy, you know what I mean? So I said, all right, I let him put it on it, but I wasn't feeling it. So now when the joint come back, I'm telling a few of my Crip and Blood homies, I went to change the channel because that TV was right by my cell, the Sereno TV, and they telling me I couldn't change the channel. They said, nah, you can't do that out here. You got to watch our TV. I was like, but that TV too far from my cell. I can't see it. And they're like, nah, but you can't do that. And they laughing. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm ready to go to war behind this. And they're like, nah. So the Sereno that I know from Lewisburg and ADX, he comes over and he tells me, he said, yo, you. And he explained to me in front of the homies, and the homies, they stamped it that that's the way it is. So I just said, all right, and when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So, I go back and I sit upstairs and I'm watching my joint. The little dude that came out there with attitude, he gritting on me, looking all crazy. So now, out of respect, I go tell my man I know from Lewisburg and ADX, I say, yo, dude, I'm ready to put the knife in this dude. What's up with your man looking at me like that? He said, nah, you can't do that. And you know what I mean? He said, because then you're going to force my hand, then I got to go against you because I got to go with my people regardless, especially if it's against another race. And you're another race the same way you'll go against me if I put my hands on one of yours. I said, damn. So I'm in the catch-22 because this is my man. So we leave it alone, So now we in there chilling, and a DC dude now, it's Atwater. So let's ride back to Lee County. We're gonna ride back to Lee County. So now take it to another one. We in Lee County. See how I'm riding? Just like I'm putting in a Ron G tape, a DJ Clue, DJ K Slay, and I'm taking a ride from here to Boston. You know what I mean? And we changed the tapes up. So I'm changing the prisons up, So now we're in Lee County, and while we're in Lee County, it was, because over there they don't have those assigned TV issues, because everybody just know to blend in because you don't have a lot of Sureno'S and a lot of people from the West. It's only a handful from the West when you on the East. Like when you on the West, it's only a handful from the East that's in the West. So, the DC dude and the Sureno, they was always going at it over the TV. As soon as one got up, the other one ran and changed it. And this was a back and forth thing. If the Sereno got up, the DC dude went and changed it. If the DC dude got up, the Sereno dude went and changed it. Back and forth, you know what I mean? And then, the Sereno got it in his head that, nah, I'm not going to go for this, man. This is back and forth. And he was a straight killer, too, because you can't take nothing from Sereno's. Get a Sereno's round of applause. Give him a round of applause. Relax, man. Relax, y'all. Relax. So now the Sereno said, man, I can't take this no more. I'm not with this. So the Sereno goes and, he puts the knife in the DC dude. They take the DC dude out on the stretcher because everybody was out at wreck. When they see the DC dude coming out on the stretcher, the DC dude said, man, Sereno hit me up in the unit. Now, why did he do that? You know what I mean? He had to do it, but I'm just saying, like why, you already know what's going to happen. So as soon as that happened, they said, what? So, man, DC turned around and took off on everything that looked Spanish that was from the West Coast and Midwest. So they out there, DC and Sereno's, they stabbing each other in the yard, they going at it, you know what I mean? People look out the window, they see what's going on, so they see, the DC against the Sereno's, so the Sereno's see this, so they jump on the DC dudes in the unit. They don't know who really from DC, like I'm from New York, but they see me with the DC dudes, the New York dudes, the Muslims, the dirty South, so they just jump on anything black, because they don't know the difference with where we from, because if you don't talk to us, you don't know where we from. So everybody's in their fight where it's the blacks against the Spanish, because not only the Sereno's, the Paisans got involved, and the white dudes got involved. Because when you're in prison and anything go down, the white dudes always roll with the Sereno's, and the Sereno's roll with the white dudes. Nobody roll with the blacks. But we had to get together, and the blacks roll with the blacks. So I'm talking about Bloods, Crip, DC, Muslims, Dirty South. You know what I mean? Orlean'S. Everybody get together, and all types of hell break loose. So it was a big riot in the unit and on the compound with everybody fighting. I mean, they pushing knives and they carrying on, and it got real ugly and bloody, But these are the things that happen in the prison over the TV, And, this joint here was dedicated to my man Bouncer, a.k.a. Tariq Merchant Smith, His Muslim name is Malik. Y'all know him in Orlean'S as, Bouncer. Bouncer had to live through this for 30 years. He make it home day before Thanksgiving, and then, he gets murdered. Less than a week later, while he was still in the halfway house. They're investigating and all that, so you know what it is, but I just wanted to give a round of applause. All right, relax, y'all. Relax, man. Relax. I want to give a round of applause and, a big rest in peace to Bouncer in New Orleans, man. Because we all on man time and we in this together, So that's why I'm telling the youngins, don't go to prison. It's not worth it. Don't go to prison. It's not worth it. You know what I mean? Because these are the type of things you have to subject yourself to. Here go a D.C. dude and a Sereno over here. Sereno stabbed the D.C. And then now everybody black got to get involved no matter what the situation is. And if you don't get involved, you're going to get punished when the word get back from the people that was in the unit that went to the hole that did get involved, that you did not get involved. So you have no choice but to get involved. And you're supposed to want to get involved in your heart because we stick together as a race. And that's why I say I don't understand how everybody's attacking Diddy out here, because you would never see that happen in a prison, and you wouldn't even see that happen 30 years ago before I went in. But I come out and then now this is the way it is. That's crazy, But I'm going to tap out, man, because I don't want to get in that too much because y'all don't really understand. Big rest in peace, to Tariq Merchant Smith, a.k.a. Malik, a.k.a. Bouncer, New Orleans' finest. All right?
Cheers. Toast the crime. Toast the crime. The crime. The crime. The crime.
What?
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this.
Real.
Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, make an audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend a ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community yours. So we can give back to the youth them, cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the road men.